Highs near 100 for our Wednesday, and now we're going to quickly turn our attention to increasing fire danger. Critical fire weather developing into our Thursday with a red flag warning in effect. Dry, gusty winds, rapid fire spread, especially through the valley, where we'll also have this wind advisory in place. Secure loose objects like trash cans and things like that, because we could see those blowing around, as well as the potential for some power outages with winds that'll be close to 30 to 45 miles per hour. Also, some gusty winds in the Sierra could cause some driving impacts, especially for higher profile vehicles, and also some choppy waves right around the lake. Highs again, upper 90s to near 100 this afternoon, the first 100-degree temperature of the year for Sacramento Executive, 80s to near 90 for the foothills and 70s up top for the Sierra. But this heat just priming all of the fuel like grasses to be ready to burn, especially with some of the winds that we're going to see. In terms of this heat, though, we're well above our pace of what we usually see for our first 100-degree day. That usually happens in June. Last year didn't hit those 100s until late in May, so we're about 2 weeks ahead of where we were last year. Low pressure system is going to slide its way through the Great Basin. Here comes that ridge of high pressure. That's what brought the heat for today. But once that low moves down there to the south, we're going to see those increasing northwest winds, a very typical pattern that we follow. And this is what brings our higher fire danger this time of the year. Had a little bit of elevated fire danger today. That was mainly because of the heat. But look at how that expands across the entire west for our Thursday forecast. Really a lot of dangerous conditions throughout the valley, as well as towards the eastern deserts of California. And then on Friday, we'll see a near repeat of that. Not quite as extensive throughout the state as Thursday. But again, the critical fire weather will continue. Now, what's interesting about this time of year is it's not necessarily a higher elevation risk. It's going to be very much through the valley and places that we're dealing with some of those extreme drought conditions throughout the eastern side of the state. Now, what happens on Friday is with the winds and continued drying, we'll see that particularly dangerous situation develop right through the Sacramento Valley and over towards the west side of the valley, where we'll see some of the biggest wind concerns. In terms of where we are compared to last year, we're a little bit behind pace here. That's not necessarily meaning that we're not going to see another devastating fire year. It's just that we had those rains coming in April and May. In fact, last week we were still tracking snow in the Sierra, and that just offset some of that critical fire weather from developing. Keep in mind, January, February, and March, all record dryness throughout California. So grass fires is what we're really going to be looking at for our Thursday and Friday forecast. If we have a spark that could spread quickly because of all the dry grass around, it's really that time of year we need to look at some of those vehicle and equipment potential sparks, securing chains, nothing dragging on the ground, especially if you're towing perhaps a trailer. Properly maintained brakes, metal to metal contact could equal a spark. Also, don't drive on dry grass. If you're having some vehicle problems, it's always best to try to find a place that doesn't have dry grass. You want to carry a fire extinguisher just in case that spark starts. You can help to prevent that rapid spread. Another good time of year right now to look at, are we fire ready for some of those bigger wildland fires? Get your fire plan ready. That's no time like the present to start with that. Will my home provide a good location to take shelter? And if not, our next step, is there a neighbor or family friend whose house I can go to and know that evacuation route as well? Many times that GPS goes out with our fire situation, especially if there's power outages. And then look at those nearby shelters that are going to be open. Just kind of have a plan in place, kind of know that route, and be ready to evacuate if necessary. As far as our winds for our Thursday morning, you can see they're still at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's going to give us a warm start to our Thursday. Readings in the mid 60s to almost 70. Now, the catch is we won't necessarily see the extreme heat for our Thursday, but the winds start to pick up. And you can see those contours. There's the key right at the top there. And they'll be especially gusty here throughout the central and northern part of the Sacramento Valley. Now, what happens on Friday, look at how that shifts right straight down through the west side of the valley, coastal valley regions particularly hard hit, and north of I-80, right through regions that have been especially hard hit, especially the Dixie Fire last year. We'll see those gusty winds. Now, that's to say there's not a lot of fuel left over. And again, these are in areas that already just saw some recent snow. So we're not looking at super high fire danger in that area. But again, the west side of the valley will be perhaps at the highest risk. Now we get a little bit of relief from the heat, but then we're going to be tracking big heat again, returning to the forecast early next week. So it's kind of that flip-flop. We get the relief from the heat, but the higher fire danger. And again, all of this will continue to dry out all this fuel throughout California. As we dig into our third year of drought, we're going to be looking at that fire danger expanding throughout the state through the foothills and the Sierra in the weeks and months to come.